Do you have problems with your guitar strings breaking, either when you are putting on a new set and tuning them up, or while you are playing in a performance, which is actually much, much worse? Guess what? I have not broken a guitar string either when stringing a guitar or playing for over a decade, and I'm going to tell you why. Stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, make sure to visit our Teespring store below, where you can browse some custom designed t-shirts from us. So, like I said, some of you out there might have this experience. Maybe you're putting on a new set of strings on your electric or acoustic guitar, and as you are in the midst of tuning up the string, it breaks on you. Ugh, you must have bought bad strings. These are faulty pieces of junk. That's what you're thinking. And I know that's what you're thinking because recently I got a bunch of comments from our Amazon store from people who bought strings and said, "These strings are bad, they're no good, they broke while I was installing them." Or maybe you got them on, they worked just fine, and then in the middle of the performance you had the worst thing that could possibly happen to a guitar player other than being a bass player, and that is you broke a guitar string. Just kidding, bass players, we love you. So why does this happen? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I have not broken a guitar string in well over a decade. Well over a decade, not kidding. I cannot really remember the last time I broke a guitar string. And a big reason for that is learning what causes guitar strings to break, what I used to do that was wrong, a mistake that lots of you guys are making, and how to keep it from happening again. So we're going to talk about the anatomy of your guitar. Now I'm going to be looking at this electric guitar today, but the same thing holds true for acoustic guitars. And I'm going to tell you this right now. For the vast majority of you, if you're honest, when a guitar string breaks, it either breaks here or it breaks up here somewhere. It doesn't break right here in the middle. Now you might think, oh, it's breaking somewhere around the first fret, but that's just because it's under tension and it has some rebound when it breaks up near your headstock somewhere. The reason I can tell you that your guitar string is breaking in one or the other area is because it's a part of your guitar that is causing the string to break to begin with. Specifically, when a guitar is new, everything is nice and shiny and smooth, if it's a well-made guitar, that is. But over time, your guitar will develop wear in the areas that the strings touch, because the strings are vibrating as you play. And the surfaces that they come into contact with are getting worn by the vibration of the string. I mean, after all, these are metal strings. They're steel, or they're phosphor bronze, or they're nickel. They're metal, and they're usually going across another piece of metal, or they're going across something that's like a composite material, or bone, or nylon in the nut. Up at the tuner, they're also wearing against metal that is typically plated with something, whether it's gold, or chrome, or nickel. And so all of these contact points can experience wear. And when that happens, when wear takes place from the vibration of the string, it creates what we call as little burrs, divots, or areas where there's a sharp point that's going to come in contact with the string. And once that happens, bink, the string breaks. Now, why does it happen when you're first putting on a brand new set of strings? Well, strings are really actually difficult to break. Think about it. When you put a set of strings on and then you go to remove the ends of the excess at the tuners, hopefully you do. Hopefully you're not like winding them up and having a jangle on the end, because that's just so 90s. Anyways, now what you do is you go and you clip these off. Well, why don't you just break them off? Because it's really, really difficult to do. What do we have to get? We have to get wire cutters, for crying out loud, to cut the string off. The string is actually very, very difficult to break. The reason that it does it at the time that you're tuning it up, particularly up in this area, is because you are bringing the string under tension, and then you are passing it through a nut that might be worn and have a burr in it, or over the tuner. Now what this burr does is it's basically a very small imperfection that's been developed from the string vibrating. And what you have to do when you are changing your strings is examine the points of your guitar. I mean, hopefully you do this with your vehicle, right? Occasionally you look at the tires and go, hey, is everything working out okay? When you are restringing your guitar, you need to take a look at specific areas. You should be looking at the frets for fret wear. You should be taking a look at the saddles, whether it's an electric or an acoustic guitar, for wear down here. And up here is probably where it happens the most, at the nut and at the tuning post. The nut, because it's usually a composite material or it's bone or it's nylon, this is an area that can wear quite a bit, more so than the saddle, which is on electric guitar metal, but it can wear just as much as a saddle on an acoustic guitar, which is often a very similar or the exact same material. Now what happens is this little burr, this little sharp point will develop on the nut or the saddle. And as the string is passing through there, when you're bringing it up to the proper tension to get the note that you want, it will, under tension, hit that point and basically it cuts it, just like your wire cutters would. Now, if it's not the nut, it can also very commonly happen on the tuning post. Now, at the tuning post, what happens is at the bottom of the eyelet, which is basically the hole that the string passes through on the post, usually on the side or the bottom of the eyelet, a little burr will take place. Now, if it's a new guitar doing it, it's probably cheap tuners that have a manufacturing defect on them, which is basically the exact same thing, but it's caused from manufacturing. More commonly, on a good quality tuner, it develops over time, over multiple string changes, and it has to be filed down. If you don't see it though, if you don't kind of take a close look, maybe get a magnifying glass if you're getting older, and take a look at that post, you will miss it. And what will happen, same thing, the string will come in contact with that under tension, and it slices it. Effectively, that's what's taking place. Now, another top tip here, unless you have locking tuners, is to make sure that you put enough wraps on the tuner to actually bring the string down below that eyelet, because you don't want the vibrating portion of the string actually coming in contact with a sharp portion of the eyelet anyway, burr or otherwise. Now, if you have your guitar properly maintained, meaning that when you do a string change, you inspect these areas and you correct any sharp or rough areas with a very simple file, then you are going to experience string changes. But if you take care of those things, you aren't. And that's why I have not had a string break on me when tuning up a guitar for a long, long time. And that's on my guitars and customer guitars. When I was doing string changes here at Alamo Music, I would do these things as part of a string change to address issues, because I knew if I just put a set of strings on there and tuned it up, something's going to break otherwise. Good lubrication on electric guitars is pretty important too. It's not as important on acoustic guitars because we're not typically bending the strings as much, but it's something to take into consideration as well. Now finally, I'm going to tell you about something that happens on the strings for acoustic guitars quite a lot in regards to these breakages, and that's on the G string. Why does the G string break so often? Because it's actually the thinnest string on your guitar. The core of the G string on an acoustic guitar is thinner than the high E string on that same guitar. It just has a wrap on it. What that means is that when we then bring it up to tension, it is dealing with a lot of tension on a very small diameter. So it doesn't take much to get between those windings and cut that string if you have an imperfection on the guitar somewhere. So here's your takeaways. Inspect your instrument. The guitar strings are very, very likely not faulty in any way. You didn't get a bad set. You have the breakage that you keep having because of something that's wrong with the instrument. So take a close look at it. Look down at the saddle, look down at the nut, look at the tuners. And when you do have a string break, pay attention to where it happened. I can guarantee you that it's most likely due to one of these issues. Or you're tuning it without a tuner and you just tuned it up too high. These strings are based upon a diameter and a predetermined frequency that they're supposed to vibrate at a set tension. If you exceed that, you're very likely going to break the string anyway. Doesn't matter how well maintained your guitar is. So that has been a top tip for you. If you have an issue, know string's good, guitar has an issue, and you can fix it. And going forward, you can expend many, many, many years playing your instrument without having an embarrassing string break on stage. So hopefully this was helpful to you. If it was, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like it and you think I'm stupid, the other button works well too, though not many people click on that. And then go ahead and comment below and tell us about your experience with strings breaking on your guitar. We hope to see you next time. Keep playing guitar. Thanks for watching.